This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.
Richard Butler from the Psychedelic Furs joins us on the show. I have been playing the Psychedelic Furs music for decades, since my time at WLIR and WDRE. I think all in all, 5 radio stations I've been on over the years. So, songs like Pretty in Pink, Love My Way, Heaven, Ghost in You. There is a new album, though. That's the big news. It's called Made of Rain. It's out in July this summer. Richard Butler, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Very good. Well, how are you and your family? Healthy and safe, I hope.
Yes. Well, we're not actually in the city. The city's getting hit pretty hard at the moment, but we're upstate, which is also getting hit, but not quite so badly as New York City.
How about dealing with this new world we're living in now with coronavirus? I mean, this affects the album release, the tour, and I guess it's a domino effect, really, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's affecting the whole music business. I mean, the point being that when touring, for instance, does start up again, everybody's going to be wanting to tour. So there's going to be, just about every band in the world will be planning a tour for when we can again. It's going to be crazy.
Are you looking at now? I mean, I know a lot of bands have just said, okay, a year from now. Is that what you're looking at now, 2021?
Well, we're hopeful that it's going to open up before then. Certainly the dates we were going to do in Europe, we're looking at 2021 now. But we were hoping to do some dates in America and still are hoping to do some dates in America later on in this year, maybe the fall or winter. But, it's the goalposts are moving all the time. We don't really know.
I can imagine with a new album, you must be really itching to get out there and play these new songs.
Yeah, I mean, the whole process will be much more exciting. It's going to be really exciting playing all the new songs. I'm really pleased with the record, and I think they're going to be great live songs. So
with this time off, have you been painting more? I think I saw maybe some of your recent works on your Instagram page.
Yes, I paint, more. I don't know. I paint all the time when I'm not touring. I paint pretty much about the same as usual. Well, yeah, about the same as usual when we're not touring, I think.
After taking a hiatus in the 90s, the band got back together in 2000, has been touring again since then. But this new album, no new album for, it's hard to believe, almost 30 years now. With these new songs, had you been writing material and demoing songs the whole time, or are these all just like brand new songs right now?
A bit of both, really. I mean, they're all new songs, besides one, I think, which has been around for a little while. But, we were writing songs and, we've played some new songs and then, X'd them. And some songs were written with the Psychedelic Furs, which never got released. Some songs were written with other people, that we have played, but, didn't want to include on this album because, we wanted it to be mainly a Psychedelic Furs album. There's a couple of songs. One song in particular that's been around for a little while, and that's Wrong Train, which we wrote a little while ago. But it's a great song, and, we've never really released it before.
Your former bandmate and current member of Guns N' Roses, I believe still, Richard Fortus, he produced this album.
He did, yeah. He was with, I've been working with Richard for a long time. I had a band when the Psychedelic Furs went on hiatus in the early 90s. I formed a band called Love Spit Love with Richard Fortus. When he was still living in St. Louis, actually, which he still lives there, actually. But I did that album with him, and then we reformed the Psychedelic Furs, and he played with the Psychedelic Furs, and then, we moved ahead without him, and then he did some session work, and then went and joined Guns N' Roses, along with the drummer from Love Spit Love, actually.
Right.
So basically half of Love Spit Love is now in Guns N' Roses.
Amazing. All the songs on the new album have that classic Psychedelic Furs sound, from the opening track, The Boy That Invented Rock and Roll, all the way through Stars. In particular, I really love the song You'll Be Mine. Tell us about that one.
I love that one. That was one I wrote with Tim, and we built it up in the studio, and Richard Fortus actually plays violin. It had a very Velvet Underground feel about it, especially when Richard Fortus put his violin on there. And so it just built up from there, and then we put some taiko drums on it, and it took off on a whole new level, and it became something else entirely, which was very exciting. It's exciting the turns that a record or a song can make, once you get into producing it and adding instrumentation.
Another song I love on the album is No One. Tell us about that one.
That was a song that actually came about just before we went in to record. We went to St. Louis twice to record, and that was a song that Rich Good sent me an idea for, and I loved the idea, and the title No One came to me, pretty quickly.
And the song I've been playing a lot on this show is Don't Believe, and we're going to play that in a couple minutes, but tell us about that one.
Well, that was a song written with Tim. It was an idea for a song that Tim had, but we decided that we only really liked the verse part. So really the whole band weighed in, and it became a band composition in that we came up with other parts for it in the studio as a band.
Was there a particular moment when you knew that music was what you had to do with your life? Maybe when you were a kid, maybe you heard a song on the radio, maybe there was a concert or something. Does anything come to mind immediately?
Oh, lots of things, really. I mean, when I was young, my dad was always bringing home records, some great ones, Hank Williams and Bob Dylan and that kind of thing, and then the blues. And I loved Bob Dylan. And, later on I got into, Roxy Music and Velvet Underground. And I thought, I'd love to be doing that. How do you get to do that? And it wasn't until the Sex Pistols came along and the whole punk rock explosion happened that you realized that you could do it. And it didn't have to be, done with all these expensive instruments and and massive guitar solos. That you could really take music down to being something quite basic, and it was more about it could be a lot about the passion that you did it with, and that made it possible for me to find my way into music, and for a lot of people, I think.
How about this? Do you remember the first time you came to New York City?
I do, yes.
Was it a gig? What was it? What was the trip about?
We were flown over here by the Mud Club.
The Mud Club.
One show, and we were put up at the Gramercy Park Hotel, and we were there for about 4 days, and it was an incredibly hot summer. And we went to play the Mud Club, and it had a metal, the shutters that you get, the corrugated iron shutters that you get on shops when they close down.
Right.
It had one of those things that it lowered down over the stage, kind of like a garage door. And we walked onto the stage, and there were these people banging, there was this pounding on this metal barrier, and then the barrier went up, and we saw New York, and New York saw us for the first time. And it turns out the person that was actually pounding on the barrier was Lux Interior from the band The Cramps.
Unbelievable. How about this?
We became fast friends after that for a while.
Yeah, of course. How about this? The first time you realized that you and the band might be a little famous. Where was that? Maybe it was a gig?
A few different things. I remember playing in New York City, and there was a queue around the block to see us. And the same happened in Chicago. And funnily enough, the song Love My Way became a hit in Seattle. It was kind of a West Coast hit. It never really caught on that well over on the East Coast. But in Seattle, we did an in-store. And when we left the in-store, we had a problem getting to the car that we were all driving in. And there were people pounding on the top of the car. And then when we got going, we were staying at the Edgewater Inn, I think, and we had to run traffic lights to get back there without being tailed back by these people. And it felt like as close as the Psychedelic Furs ever got to anything like Beatlemania. And it was a very strange thing. But, it never really quite happened again like that, thank goodness. But it was very odd. And that was kind of where we felt like, yeah, something's really happening. Something's is taking off. Oh, it's actually the Ritz in New York.
Oh, right. Yeah. Webster Hall now and then the Ritz then. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The first time you met one of your rock idols and got a little starstruck, who would that be?
I don't know whether I got starstruck. I mean, the most struck I would be, I suppose, was when I was in art school in London, and I went to. I was a big fan of Andy Warhol and his work, and the whole factory scene and the Velvet Underground and everything that seemed to be involved with that. And I went to a book signing, and he signed my book and drew me a banana in the front, like, you know, on the first Velvet Underground record. And I was somewhat, you know, I don't know whether I'd say starstruck, somewhat in awe. Well, yeah, that would be starstruck. I was somewhat in awe of Andy Warhol. But, you know, I've met lots of people since who I thought were great, but starstruck, I don't know. But the first things that surprised me was, you know, I mean, I'd met David Bowie a good few times, but we were playing in Germany, and I came off stage, and I was in the dressing room, and somebody came in, one of the band came in and said, "Oh, David Bowie's been running around looking for you," you know, and I thought, oh, that's very curious.
Wow.
But I've certainly met, you know, I mean, Iggy Pop we toured with, and, you know, he came down to see us a good few times in the 80s. And Lou Reed I met a good few times, and David Bowie I met a good few times. And all of these people were people that I looked up to, you know, certainly.
His name is Richard Butler. Of course, the Psychedelic Furs have a brand new album coming out in July. It's called Made of Rain. Everybody should go out and pre-order that now. And Richard, great speaking with you. I can't wait to see the band here in New York City, hopefully sooner rather than later.
This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.